Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating, highly practical, reflective essay by Jonathan Acuna Solano. He takes a hard look at the everyday reality of translating published English language teaching materials, specifically those from established courses like the British Council's, into the modern adult online classroom. If you teach adults, you absolutely know the unique challenges of the virtual space. We're constantly battling for attention, right? Well, this explainer is going to completely reframe how you look at your teaching resources.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Have you ever spent hours, literally hours, searching the internet for that absolute, perfect, ready-to-teach lesson plan for your adult professionals? You finally find it, you teach it, and then you just watch it completely flop in your virtual classroom? It's a shared frustration among educators everywhere, for sure. We constantly hunt for that silver bullet, a flawlessly structured PDF that'll magically engage a room full of tired post-work adults. But as we're about to see, the perfect ready-made lesson plan, it might just be an illusion.
I absolutely love Jonathan Acuna Solano's perspective here because it completely shifts our mindset. Published lesson plans, even the really exceptional ones from institutions like the British Council, they aren't finished products. They are just starting points. They're possibilities. Acuna Solano argues that taking a lesson plan and actually using it in an adult online setting requires a pedagogical act of translation. You've got to translate those materials so they fit complex adult schedules, real-world workplace realities, and the very real phenomenon of digital fatigue.
So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the myth of ready-made, the adult online reality, redefining low-resource environments, differentiation and choice, relevance and motivation, and finally, reflective practice.
First up, Section 1, the myth of ready-made, finding adaptable parts.
The internet offers us this overwhelming abundance of materials, but as Acuna Solano points out, abundance does not equal relevance. For us adult educators, searching online shouldn't be about finding a complete 60-minute lesson on some broad topic like travel. Instead, it's really an exercise in discernment. You want to curate adaptable pieces. You're hunting for fragments, a great chart here, a solid grammar explanation there, or maybe a thought-provoking infographic. Once you gather these isolated fragments, you can repurpose them. You might even use AI tools like ChatGPT to help build out a lesson that fits the highly specific academic or corporate realities of your actual learners.
Moving on to Section 2, Adult Online Reality, Constraints and Needs.
Now, what's really interesting here is how Malcolm Knowles' foundational principles of andragogy explain exactly why those colorful, child-centered textbook topics alienate older students. Adult learners are problem-oriented. They value learning that is immediately relevant to their lives. I mean, think about it. Many of them are logging into your virtual class right after a grueling workday. Their motivation to learn might be high, but their cognitive energy, it's basically running on empty. If a lesson ignores their professional identity or asks for some type of playful participation that doesn't fit their mindset, it's going to fail. It doesn't even matter how linguistically sound it is.
Just consider the stark contrast between these two approaches. A generic speaking activity like planning a school picnic might be totally harmless, but for a corporate learner, it's completely disconnected from their reality. But an adapted prompt, something like disagreeing diplomatically in a meeting, that suddenly has intense functional relevance. It taps into a real-world problem they probably faced that very morning. To succeed with adults, your activities absolutely must connect directly to their professional identities.
Next up is Section 3, Low Resource Redefined, Simplifying Digital Tools.
In a virtual class, lacking resources doesn't mean you're missing scissors or a whiteboard. Instead, it means you're battling unstable Wi-Fi, severe camera fatigue, a total lack of privacy, and seriously divided attention. A computer and an internet connection aren't optional resources here, they are the absolute baseline conditions for participation.
So the crucial point is this. Adapting for a low-resource online context actually means simplifying your digital architecture. A lesson plan that requires perfectly smooth breakout room transitions, external collaborative whiteboards, and constant screen sharing might look technically impressive, but honestly, it is pedagogically fragile. When you ask a tired professional to navigate 3 different browser tabs just to complete a simple matching exercise, you are risking total cognitive overload.
The solution is to strip away the digital excess and keep communication central. Build your entire lesson around a single slide deck. Leverage the basic chat box for brainstorming instead of forcing them into a fancy external app. Rely on simple pair work. If an audio file keeps buffering, just read the text aloud live, or have your students simulate the dialogue orally. Respecting your learners' divided attention really means removing technological friction. You want them focusing purely on the language, not the software.
Which brings us to Section 4, Differentiation Choice, Empowering Adults.
Differentiation is vital, mostly because your adult students will have vastly different confidence levels and professional backgrounds. But as educators, we have to remember something crucial. Differentiation in an adult classroom should never feel infantilizing. Adults absolutely do not want to be handed a visibly easy task that exposes them to their peers as a weaker learner. Instead, differentiation should just widen access to participation without ever singling anyone out.
And this brilliantly illustrates Tomlinson's models of layered design in action. We can actually achieve this without making anyone feel exposed. Instead of forcing one generic speaking prompt on a mixed ability class, try a three-step approach. First, create a handful of distinct workplace scenarios. Present them as open-ended sketchpads. Then, give your learners the agency to choose the two they want to discuss. By offering that choice, a lower-level student can pick a scenario they feel comfortable with and give a straightforward answer. Meanwhile, an advanced student can choose a really complex dilemma and provide a highly nuanced response. Everyone is challenged at their own level, but everybody is doing the exact same core activity.
Let's pivot to Section 5, Relevance and Motivation, Driving Engagement.
According to Zoltan Dornier's motivational framework, thematic relevance is your motivational infrastructure. It's the underlying framework that actually drives engagement. Adult learners are constantly evaluating the usefulness of everything you put in front of them. If you give them a task about fictional teenagers, yeah, they might politely complete it. But watch what happens to the energy in your virtual room when you introduce a topic about performance reviews, difficult clients, or navigating hybrid work. The shift is palpable.
Think about the sheer impact of a simple swap. Trading a generic textbook reading on childhood routines for a deep dive discussion on professional burnout and the ethics of AI at work. That completely transforms the dynamic. It changes English from being just another school subject into a vital, urgent tool for professional action. When learners can draw on their own lived experiences to solve a corporate dilemma in English, they aren't just students anymore. They become active contributors, co-creating meaning right alongside you.
Finally, Section 6, Reflective Practice, Continuous Improvement. Let's move on and see how this adaptation cycle builds into an ongoing professional practice. Because adaptation isn't just a one-time intervention where you fix a PDF and you're good forever. Actually, scratch that, it's more like a continuous collaborative loop. It requires humility. Sometimes an adaptation just doesn't work out. Maybe a scenario is way too specific or a digital simplification accidentally kills the interaction. That's why you plan, you test it in the virtual classroom, you observe how the adults react, and then you revise it for next time. Because this process is continuous, we really need to stop reinventing the wheel in isolation. Acuña Solano strongly advocates for collaboration here. If you teach in an institution with similar learner profiles, share the workload. Exchange those adapted speaking prompts with your colleagues. Compare what worked and what didn't in your online discussions. Build a shared repository of workplace scenarios categorized by level. Doing this not only saves massive amounts of prep time, but it radically reduces the isolation that so many of us online teachers feel.
So we'll leave you with this provocative thought. Published materials are absolutely fantastic resources, but they're just the first step. They open the door. As a reflective professional teaching adults online, your job is to decide which of those doors are actually worth walking through, which ones need to be completely rebuilt from the ground up, and which ones should simply be left behind. Context isn't just background noise, it is the very place where learning happens. So the next time you open a generic lesson plan, ask yourself, how will you rebuild this to invite your authentic learners in? Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we'll see you next time.